Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. Just another recent finds video. Some stuff that's kind of popped in. Um, Order I placed a few weeks ago after about a week and a half ago or so after I sold some stuff on eBay. And then there's also a store that's kind of near the downtown area of St. Louis. It's called the Record Exchange. I actually did a video of it, geez, probably like 7, 8 years ago, something like that. I think it's still here on my channel actually. But it's this gigantic store that just has an overwhelming amount of just records and equipment. And I mean, like I said, to go into the store, it really is overwhelming. It's just so much stuff. And I've always kind of labeled it the $10 record store because you're not going to go in there, you're not going to find any new vinyl really whatsoever. And most of it is just kind of, you know, $5, $6 to $10 vinyl records. I mean, you'll find some, stuff here and there that may be priced a little bit more, but kind of for the most part, it's just thousands and thousands of records. And I've always said it's the place where you go when you have that $7 record that you just can't really find anywhere. In all likelihood, if you're going to walk in and just find it sitting, it's going to be in this particular place. But anyway, he gets so much stuff in there sometimes. It's a gigantic building that he about maybe once or twice a year, he'll do this half off everything in the store sale, just trying to get stuff moving and get it out. So luckily he has that sale going on right now, and I was able to go over there and pick up a few things that I've been wanting to get my hands on, but like again, wasn't willing to pay $6 for it or $8 for it, but $3, $4, I was on the money for it. So picked up some good stuff there too. But anyway, let me just kind of jump into some of the things I picked up. So some of the things I ordered a number of kind of Japanese pressings that came in. A lot of kind of basic core stuff here too. Nothing, big and fancy and no major grails or anything like that, but just a lot of nice core pieces. I've never had a copy of this, which is Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo. From the sequel of, the original movie Breaking. I love both movies. I would probably say maybe the Breaking soundtrack's a little bit better overall. Like a lot of them, the first movie was more serious as well as a soundtrack, and this one was a little more playful as well as a soundtrack. So, but definitely very, very glad to have that because you don't see that pop up very often at all. And then kind of another core piece here, which is Lionel Richie, self-titled from 1982 or 83, something like that. Of course, has this big hit "You Are," which is one of my favorite songs for his solo career. So, and this may be actually kind of just to share really quick something else I'm doing in my collection, because you guys know I have so many weird things that I do with organizing my collection and all that kind of stuff. So one thing that I kind of got into when I went through my purge was I don't keep a lot of doubles of records in my official collection. If I do keep a double, it has to be something that's really like, there's like a really, really good reason to keep a double. Like I have a Japanese pressing and maybe a MoFi pressing or something. Or I have like 2 copies of Bad Company's Holy Water, But just in general, especially something like maybe a Lionel Richie self-titled, fantastic album, but not something I would keep 2 of just to have a Japanese pressing and a US pressing. But what I have done is I've started almost a second collection, which I just refer to as my overflow collection. So like a great example is I had a perfect mint pressing of this, just a regular US pressing, but then I got this Japanese pressing. So the US pressing goes out of my collection and it goes into, again, really what's this second collection, which I refer to as my overflow collection. So the overflow collection is just comprised of, number one, it has to be near mint or mint, that there's no keeping just for the sake of having different collections. I mean, it's just all mint across the board, but it's just pressings of things that different pressing, but I don't necessarily want it in my collection. So I'm almost like, I almost have like 2 collections going right now, 2 official collections going right now. But again, it's something that that gives me more pleasure in keeping certain doubles or multiple pressings. I just don't want multiple pressings in my core collection. I know, weird, isn't it? But it's fun to go through these things, and a year from now I'll be doing something else different. But anyway, moving right along. Jeffrey Osborne, another great 70s, 80s R&B artist. This is definitely probably my favorite album by him, which has probably his biggest hit, which is "You Should Be Mine," which was a huge R&B hit back in the '80s. But he's also the lead singer of LTD, and I mean he's just been in the R&B scene for a lot of years. But Jeffrey Osborne is awesome. So another good core piece. And Rupert Holmes. This is Partners in Crime. Again, had a very nice, just regular pressing of this, but you know, I picked up this Japanese pressing for only 99 cents, so like heck yeah. And you know, the classic song, the escape song, the Pina Colada song, if I can say the word, which everyone knows. And it's kind of interesting too, because this is kind of your soft rock album and that stuff from the '70s or whatever. But it's interesting when you like go into the title track for it's like Partners in Crime. If you go in and like listen to those lyrics and read those lyrics, it's kind of as dark as a lot of many other dark things that you would expect on different albums. Like in that song, he's talking about like a woman being beat up and forced into prostitution. And there's another verse where he's talking about like a woman and guy who work together, but like secretly they sneak off, and she's like a dominatrix and putting him under her heel and all this kind of stuff. Like he just gets all just not what you'd expect from the Pina Colada guy. But anyway, definitely kind of a good 70s soft rock record. Another classic soundtrack, which everyone knows, Author. Another great one there. Christopher Cross with Author's theme, and just again some of that 70s soft rock stuff that I love, because I definitely love Christopher Cross. Upgraded my Chicago 17 to a nice Japanese pressing. Again, kind of Chicago at the peak of their 80s run with Hard Habit to Break, Along Comes a Woman, You're the Inspiration, all that great stuff. And the man here, Steve Winwood, Back in the High Life. Love Steve. Who was just talking about him? I think it was Mazzy, actually, Maslow. I think he was just talking about Steve Winwood in a recent video on this album in general. And yeah, I think I left a comment on this video too, just talking about Steve is a bad man. I mean, I think sometimes his career gets very chopped up in people's minds, and he doesn't get a lot of respect. I mean, the albums were big, but I just don't think he necessarily gets the respect he deserves for a lot of his '80s stuff, because I mean he had some fantastic albums and fantastic singles from a lot of his '80s career. So just Higher Love, The Finer Things. I mean, just a lot of really, really good songs. Back in the High Life again. Really, really great stuff off of this album. And when you really follow his career, I mean, going through David Spencer Group to Traffic to his solo career, dude, pretty freaking awesome. Sheila E, Glamorous Life. I used to love that song when I was younger. I remember having on this little dub tape that I would just play all the time. But my favorite song by her is definitely Love Bazaar. That's my favorite Sheila track. And of course another 80s classic, which is Mr. Mister, Welcome to the Real World, Broken Wings, Kyrie, Is It Love? I mean, just, again, great classic 80s album. I finally got a good copy that I've bought a couple copies of this over the years and always get them home and they're a little bit, whatever, and just didn't end up keeping them. So nice to finally get a very nice copy of that. Now, the rest of these are going to be all the things that I picked up at the store that was doing the half off thing. And so one of the things that I'm doing right now in terms of starting another section or another tab in my collection, I told you guys about that Hitsville, The Making of Motown, or is it, yeah, Hitsville, The Making of Motown, that documentary I watched, and just how much it just completely kind of blew my mind. And of course, I have tons of Motown stuff, and I've always loved Motown. It's been one of the main things within my musical world from the time I was a kid. But sometimes it's just like you watch something like that, and it just gives you this spark of, you know, I want to get more of that stuff like right now because I'm, just really kind of feeling it. So I started a new Motown tab in my collection. So I went through and pulled out all my Motown stuff. Well, 60s and early 70s Motown stuff. Like a lot of the 80s stuff, like that Lionel Richie I showed, that was on Motown, but that's not what I think about when I think about Motown. I'm thinking Temptations, Four Tops, Smokey, all that kind of stuff. So I made a new tab, and so that's labeled Motown, and I'm just kind of, getting new Motown stuff. So him having that sale was a great opportunity to pick up some really good stuff to add to the Motown collection, starting with Martha Reeve and the Vandellas. Another very, very classic group. Song like, Love's Like a Heat Wave, Dancing in the Streets, all that good stuff. So that was a really good pickup. Best of the Four Tops. Gotta love the tops and the temps. I mean, there's no getting around that. So, stuff like Baby I Need Your Lovin', Ask the Lonely, Can't Help Myself. Which actually, as big a hit as that was, the Sugar Pie Honey Bunch, that's one of my least favorite hit songs by the Four Tops. I don't know. Probably Baby I Need Your Lovin' is probably my favorite. But yeah, they got so much good stuff. Great little, just kind of greatest hits there. Little Marvin Gaye Superstar. Nice little 2 LP set. Most of the stuff on here is more of his earlier stuff. Ain't That Peculiar, all that kind of, those early years. So again, another nice little compilation piece there. Now this is in Motown, but this is a good addition that I found from my Earth, Wind, and Fire collection. I've had this on CD in the box set for a while, but I've never actually seen the vinyl, so I was pretty shocked to stumble across it. And this is a Heritage, which I think was 1990 or something like that. But yeah, again, I said I've had the CD in the box set, but I had never seen the vinyl, so stumbled across that for only $3. That was a great pickup, especially in perfect condition. More to the Motown collection. You got Jackson 5. This is Diana Ross presents the Jackson 5. Very, very cool cover there. Nice old school hip hop piece that I picked up. And this was nice because I purged my copy a while ago because it wasn't quite in great condition. So it's nice to stumble across this one, which I think is a recent reissue actually. But this is the Real Roxanne. Love Roxanne. I mean, just one of the early, especially on the female side, probably one of the earliest pioneers of hip hop. Especially with female artists. Now, some of her other stuff, Roxanne's Revenge and, a few other things I think I like a little bit more than this album. Here, she was still doing the rapping thing, but she was experimenting a little bit more with her R&B kind of touches. And I just kind of like her old school hip hop elements better, but still a good album, and definitely glad to pick up a copy of that. Next, going back to the Motown edition, we have the Marvelettes. This is just the greatest hits. As you can see with the title tracks there, Don't Mess with Bill, Beechwood 45789, Please Mr. Postman, just a lot of great classic Motown hits on that. And here's another Four Tops. Another really great album. Again, just kind of a greatest hits. And, a few songs on this one that's not on the other one and vice versa. So I decided to go ahead and pick up both of them. And a nice old school hip hop piece. Again, with the half off, it was only $3 in great condition. I was not going to pass it up. But too nice. This is called Cold Facts. Again, just some old school, some of those early years rap / hip hop. one of those ones where you listen to and you know you remember some of the songs and you kind of like them, but they also make you laugh because they were so corny and cheesy. But you know, just one of those albums that really kind of takes you back to childhood. So nice addition to the old school hip hop section or collection. And we have Silver Connection. This is the best of. For those maybe that don't remember this group, just a 3-girl trio. I mean, I'm not going to be insulting, but I mean, not exactly like the greatest talents in the world or anything of that nature. But it was just 3 girls that were doing the disco thing, quite frankly. And you know, their biggest hit was probably "Fly Robin Fly," which again, I love that song. Love the video for it too. If you ever get a chance to see that, check it out. But yeah, this is just when you get in your disco mood. This is kind of a great album to throw on because these ladies did disco and they did it well. And the last two, this is Temptations, To Be Continued. This was a nice find too because again, I think he had $4 on this, which took it down to $2. And not only is it gold stamp on the front, but it's actually a white label promo. So that's a very nice find for only $2. And this was kind of some of the Temptations latter years when what's his name? Is it Reeve? I'm not gonna say it because I'll mess it up. But he was kind of the new lead singer that was kind of put into the Temptations going to that. Was it like late 80s, maybe even early 90s, late 80s, somewhere around there. And so this is one of the albums that they put out. And they do have, some very good stuff that they did with him. I definitely love his voice, very old school soul. And like on here, you'll have songs like Lady Soul, which is, a great song that they did with him. But then there's also stuff like Treat Her Like a Lady, another great song, more of a dancey type of song. What's another really good one they did with him? Soul to Soul, another really good one. So, yeah, obviously Temptations were big in the 60s and 70s, but, really kind of fell off going into the 80s. That stuff wasn't that popular, but there's definitely some good music that they did in that time frame, so don't sleep on it. And last but not least, Soul to Soul. Another great one too. I think he had $5 or $6 on this one, so it took it down to about $3, and that was freaking awesome because it's, as you can see, it's in perfect condition. And this is one I've been wanting to add to my collection for a while. It has a great song on here, which is "Get a Life," which is the main song that I wanted off of it. I actually have the 12-inch single, but I've never had a chance to get the full studio album on vinyl. So great pickup there. Get a Life's a really cool song. Soul to Soul's a really cool group. If you're not familiar with them, how to describe Soul to Soul? They're kind of if you take the Fugees and kind of what they did, but not quite as R&B-ish maybe as the Fugees, but going a little more so towards, let's be the Fugees, but let's add a little more kind of worldly reggae feel, a little more kind of a worldly element, and let's be a little more kind of upbeat, of something that's probably a little more dancey kind of thing. Not dances in like techno, get on the dance floor and but just kind of something that's a little more upbeat and that type of thing. So again, if you just gotta kind of go listen, check out the song "Get a Life," and you'll get a really good idea of kind of what Soul to Soul did. But very cool group. I haven't heard it mentioned a lot in the VC, or maybe I just haven't seen people that have mentioned it. But very cool stuff. So great finds. But yeah, so there you go. Like I said, nothing gigantic or crazy or anything of that nature, but definitely some good stuff that has come in, some great additions, and kind of happy to be kind of working and building on that Motown collection that I'm doing now. But anyway, yeah, as always, VC, kind of let me know what you think, and we will talk to you soon. All right, take care, guys.